Welcome to Out of the Box with Christine, the podcast for conscious entrepreneurs. Are you willing to step into your greatness? Are you ready to shine? Well, get ready, Truth Seeker. You're in for an amazing ride. And now, here's the host of the show, Christine Blosdale.
Welcome back to Out of the Box with Christine. Of course, I am your host, Christine Blosdale, and I am so happy that you tuned in today because we have a very special treat in store for you. Today, my guest is Rommie Buhler, and Rommie is a holistic animal health coach, and she is basically like, well, you know, remember Dr. Dolittle? Remember that movie, Dr. Dolittle? Well, this is the female version of Dr. Dolittle, I would say, and then some. And she's joining us from Brisbane, Australia. I want to welcome you to Out of the Box with Christine. Rommie, welcome, darling.
Oh, Christine, great to see you. Thanks for having me today.
Oh, it's my pleasure because you're talking about, we're going to be talking about some things that are very, very much a favorite on my list. And the work that you do and how you came to do it all. We're going to cover all of that. But again, I just want to say thank you so much. You've been on one of my dear friends' podcasts, and she told me all about you. So I'm happy to have you on the show today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So when you're at a party, do people say, what is it that you do? And you say, I talk to animals. And they go, did you have too much to drink? No.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Is this something, communicating with animals, is this something that you've always experienced even when you were young, or is this something relatively new in your life?
Well, I just want to backtrack because you just reminded me of something when you go to parties and how you introduce yourself, because my husband takes great joy in introducing us to people we don't know. When they say, you know, so what do you do? It's like, well, I'm in construction and my wife is a witch. She talks to dead people. And, you know, you get the look from the people. It's like, oh, do I smile politely and walk away, or do I engage in some kind of interesting conversation? So it's kind of funny, but
I love that.
Yeah, you get a great reaction. Look, I was born and bred in the country in Western Australia, and I was brought up with sheep and, you know, cats and dogs and donkeys and that type of thing. And while I don't recall communicating with them as a child, whenever there was anything that I needed to discuss, I would grab a dog and I would shove him under my arm and take him somewhere quietly, and we'd have a chat. And I'm sure dog would speak back, although I can't remember that. So I guess fast tracking to now, it's probably 15 or so years that I knew that I've always known I'm intuitive, and I consciously worked with intuition within any job that I had and life for the last 15 or 20 years. And then my husband got cancer. He got secondary cancer and was given a fairly average prognosis. And so I left work straight away. And I said to him, we've got an anxious dog, and there's this thing called animal communication that I read about on Facebook, because Facebook's great at dropping stuff in your feed. And they must have overheard me going, God, Kenny's so anxious today.
Right. The algorithm heard you.
Yeah, they heard me. And so I said to him, you should learn this thing and sort him out. So I bought him some books, and I found DVDs back when DVDs were a thing, and Google links. I sent all of that over to him, and he did zero with it. And so I brought it back to me, and I thought, well, I'm going to read it. And I was just, it's like a drug. I couldn't get enough of it. It's like, oh my God, that's just amazing. Oh, they can do that. That's incredible. So I went and found myself a mentor, and she gave me all of these test cases. I didn't really even know what it meant. And she said, I'm going to send over some telepathic images of some of my clients, and I want you to tell me what you see. And I'm sitting back, I was on the other side of the country, and I was sitting back there thinking, oh, I feel like I'm in, you know, some college exam and I'm about to fail. And I just sat there, and then all of a sudden I was getting all these images and words and feelings, and I was just kind of banging out 500 miles an hour. It's like, oh, you know, this, and this. And she's like, yes. And you saw more than I did. Off you go, set yourself up as a business and start doing it. And so I said, okay, then. And I did, because that's what I do. I say, okay, and I go and do.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
So that was probably 9 years ago, I guess, when I, you know, because once I realized actually how it looked and what it was all about, it's the same as people, just slightly different conversation.
That was my next question. Is it just animals that you work with, or humans as well?
No, I do humans as well. You can't get away from humans, can you?
No, you can't.
When you are one.
Try.
I got to a point where it's like, I don't even know what I'm doing. Am I doing people or animals? I love animals. Animals is my passion. They need a voice. They need me. But the people, and then I thought, I've got to make a decision here, because I was stuck in this fork with one foot in each road. And so I decided animals. It was a bit of a no-brainer. But also animals are cared for by people. So I'll do a reading for an animal, and then I'll be doing, you know, I've got a bunch of clients in New Zealand and in America with horses. And so we talk to the horse, and then we talk to the young teenager or a kid that's riding the horse, and then we're talking to the mum, and then the brother will walk in and he'll want to know something. So it's kind of, some of these sessions just become like a big family affair with dogs, horses, and the people.
Well, and because we're so closely associated with the animals that we have in our lives, I can imagine that especially the ones that are with us all the time, if it's a cat or a dog, right, who's, you know, like they sleep with us sometimes, and they're just around us all the time, that they pick up on our energy, that they pick up on if we're sad, or if we're hurt, or if we're sick, they pick up on that. I know it's not like a sympathetic thing, but I know even with my little Bodhi, who passed, she passed, was it 2.5 years ago, I think she passed. She turned 16, and then shortly after that she left. But this dog was just so connected to me, so much so that when I broke my leg in 2 places, which was, that hurt like hell. I'm going to tell you. I can
imagine.
It was the most painful thing I've ever gone through. But when I had returned from the hospital and I was at the house, my little black toy poodle, Bodhi, one day I saw her, and she was like limping, like one leg was up and she was like limping. And I was like, what happened to you? What happened to your leg? Like what? And there's no place that she could get injured, because it's just my little house and then little backyard, and there's nothing she can injure herself on. And so I looked at her paw to see if she was stuck on glass or something. And I just said, no, I don't think that is. The next day, it was the other leg, right? That she was kind of doing that. And I just made that intuitive thing of like, she's feeling me and picking up on my injury, and maybe being sympathetic to me or empathic to me. But after that, she was fine. She was running around and everything was okay until when she eventually passed. But our animals are very connected to us, aren't they?
Oh, they really are. And actually, I had a session with a lady just before we connected today, and her dog, who's this crazy Doberman, a beautiful dog, very goofy, and they're moving house shortly. And she said to me, Willow is the name of this dog. Willow's just been, you know, grabbing pillows and, shaking them till they just kind of burst and make a crazy mess. And, you know, how's she feeling about moving and all of this sort of thing. And, underneath all of her goofy, crazy stuff, she's actually a little bit anxious. So once you get through the crazy dog, so, okay, let's have a look at the true essence of this dog and what's going on with her now. And I said to mum, it's like, she's got a little bit of anxiety actually. And, she's not really sure. She knows there's movement, and you're showing her a new house because you've been talking about it to people in your house, and animals are telepathic. They'll read the images in your mind. And so she knows she's going somewhere, but you haven't spoken to her about it, and you need to talk to her about it as well. Include her as a part of your family. And also, how's your anxiety levels? Because she's picking up your anxiety and not knowing. So she's got your anxiety that she's feeling and her own, because she doesn't know where she's going or what's going on. So she said, oh, yeah, we are exactly the same. I'm highly strung. She's highly strung. I'm anxious. She's anxious. I change my mind at the drop of a hat. So does she. And so, yeah, I said, well, there's two things. We do a little bit of mirroring, but like also attracts like. So we do often end up with animals that are very much like us because they kind of choose us.
Oh, I 100,000,000% agree with you on that. Because and cats, I don't know, cats are different. I think cats are from a different planet altogether. But I mean, I know with dogs, I know that the dogs that I've been so blessed to have in my life, they do pick up on you, on your personality. And I am actually a very calm, I'm not a excitable person. I'm pretty chill. For the most part, I'm not super anxious, but I do know that they also tend to, not that like my little toy poodle looked like me, but there were characteristics that it was like, yes, you're my baby. It was from the moment, because she was all black, beautiful little, when I saw her, she was a puppy. She was born on the 22nd of September, and 22 is my magical number. And I think at that time too, I was with my partner at the time, and she said, don't get too attached to this dog. We're just going to look at it. We're not going to, it could be something wrong with it. It could be the runt, or it could be. And I said, of course. Yes, of course. And then as soon as I saw her, I was like,
sold.
Yeah. She just came up and just was on my chest. And then I said, when was she born? And she said the 22nd. I said, it's mine. It's mine. Give me.
Yeah. Do you want to think about that No, we don't want to think about that.
We don't want to think about that. Oh man. So I love stories. I love to hear the stories. And I'm sure in your almost close to a decade of working with animals that you have some pretty amazing stories. And I hate to ask you to pull one or two of them out, but can you share some of the maybe more amazing cases that you've had? Doesn't have to be an exotic animal, but just something that really stuck with you that you can share with us.
Oh, yeah. There's probably many, like you say, and there's, bits of lots of sessions that are always pretty fascinating. And, just talking about the emotional side again, because animals, they are sentient. They do feel the same way that we do. They're a lot better at processing emotion than we are. But there was this beautiful little pony, and her name was, or it could have been a he, whatever. It's a he or a her. His name was Weet-Bix. And it was a rescue pony, like a little tiny little Shetland pony type of thing. And had all sorts of health issues from wherever she came from with this rescue. And Mum was just beside herself, the adopted mum, and she didn't really know how to care for her because she was on so much medication, and the vet was really trying to get to the bottom of some of her issues. And one of the things that she really wanted to say was that she was really, really sad. The horse was really sad, and her heart was broken from her history. She didn't want to live in her history, so she was just really going to say this once and move on. But she didn't want Mum to have her heart so openly broken as well, because she was trying to build her own courage and move on with her little pony life. And she was finding it really, really difficult seeing Mum crying and just being beside herself every time she saw Weet-Bix, because Weet-Bix wasn't getting any better, or she had created some new kind of health issue had come up. And I think that was really important. It was, I see it quite a lot really, but it's like really try and contain your own emotions around your animals, and especially if they're high end, and anger the same. But it was just a beautiful reminder, I think, to me and to Mum and to everybody else, that we don't really think too much about what's going on with our emotions and the energy of that and how much that transfers into it. We were just talking about anxiety and things like that, but this pony was very, very specific. It's like, please don't let your heart break on top of my heart that's already broken. I need to mend my heart, and I can't do that while yours is, so topsy-turvy. So I really loved that. But so many animals, cats and dogs and horses to a degree too, but cats and dogs particularly, so many digestive issues that are causing so many problems because we've domesticated animals and we're feeding them a way that they shouldn't be fed, and they have all sorts of problems with that. And so that creates issues with just their physical energy and their emotional energy and all of those things as well. They're not really stories, but just kind of things that come out of pretty much nearly every session I have with a cat or a dog will always go back to the stomach and the small intestine and whatnot. There was a funny cat in America. This cat's name was Indy, I think. And it was really just like, it's like, oh, the first thing I tune into this cat and it literally turns around and shows me his butthole, tail in the air, and here's the butthole. And it's like, okay, then I'm not really sure what to do with that. And I'm not really sure why you're showing me your bum. But, we'll move on. And what was happening with that was the owners had a bit of a problem with this cat for quite some time, a couple of years. And so they used to call the cat the and so so this cat was showing me the because that's what the owners had been calling her. And there were some problems because they'd bought a dog, and the dog was getting a whole lot more attention than the cat, and the cat was becoming an so we kind of solved that problem. They thought, yeah, we probably need to give Indy a whole lot more attention now that we haven't been for 2 years. So yeah, there's some great stories. There's another cat also in America who was not long off being put to sleep, and the vet just could not come to a resolution on this vomiting. It was getting to the point where this cat was losing so much weight and was just really, really unwell. And so I had a reading with this cat, with this lady, and I said to her, first thing, as I mentioned before with food, is like, this, whatever you're feeding this cat is not good. It's like going in, coming out, and is having quite a reaction. And, of course, a lot of our processed food is very, very toxic with, insecticides and pesticides and flavors and colorings and all this sort of stuff that we have in human food. And was reacting to it. So she took my email off to the vet, and the vet said, and having an open-minded vet is few and far between. And I absolutely love that this vet took the time to read my email and said, get this cat off that food instantaneously. And there's an animal naturopath, up there somewhere. Go and see them. And so the cat, this is probably 2 years ago now, and the cat is flourishing. As soon as the cat went off the food, everything changed. And so, that's what I say. If you first thing, before you even go anywhere, if you've got a problem with your animal, start with nutrition.
Wow. You know what? And you think about it, the commercial cat and dog food is horrific.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. I think I know, like, the first year and a half when I had my puppy, I had read that a raw food diet would be best, not to do the commercial kibble and the commercial canned food. And so I did that thing. It cost me a little bit more money, but I did the raw meats, and then like shredded little carrots and little zucchinis and then mixed it all up and everything. And that dog was the healthiest dog ever. Never had a problem. Well, went full 16 years, never a problem. Nothing, never, not even a cold or sniffy or whatever, nothing.
Yeah.
So it is so important. You're right. It's absolutely important to think about. It's the same with us, with humans, right? It's what you put in us is going to affect us.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Yeah, you don't want to eat McDonald's every day, all day, do you?
oh,
And
good
that's what
Lord.
we're
No,
that's what we're feeding our animals by
we're feeding them
processed food.
McDonald's. Oh man, you're right. Okay. Now when you were talking, one of the things that kind of came up for me too was, what's the most exotic animal that you have communicated with?
Probably the most exotic is really just for my interest, not because someone has come to me. I'd
Yeah.
love to work with wildlife, a zoologist or someone in research. And so many, a cassowary up in Queensland, emus, snakes, octopus, sharks.
Have you communicated with a snake?
I have. I went to a sanctuary
What does
one
a
day.
snake say?
Yeah. Well, and you know what? I was really surprised actually, because I went to this sanctuary and I thought, I want to go and talk to all the animals in there and see how they like it and see what they think of their life
Yeah.
and their food and,
Yeah.
why they're there and that. And so off I went, and there's, kangaroos and there's cassowaries and there's emus and dingoes and whatnot. So I spoke to all of them. And I went to the snake area, and being from the country where there was a lot of dugites, which is quite a poisonous snake in Australia, I wasn't really a fan. Snakes and spiders have never been my number one animal on my love list. And so I thought, I don't need to talk to the snakes, but I felt obliged to do that. And there was a red belly black snake and a python. There was another one as well, but I think I only spoke to the two. And this red belly black snake was in this little, I don't know, perspex thing, container. It's not a container, but the cage thing, and a water bowl. And this snake was really, really grumpy, did not want to be in there at all. And the snakes that I have spoken to, I've spoken to a couple else outside of that, they can't stretch out in some of these places.
And that's what they
We
want.
got a big long snake. They want to move in their big long
Yes.
way, and they're stuck in this small
in a little
area.
tank.
Yeah, yeah. And so they've got to curl up, or they've got to, get fed whatever they get fed by the people feeding them. And so this snake was really, really, really grumpy and didn't want to be there. The python was the python that was used for the photos, for the, drape around the neck. And, here we are with the snake.
The touristy photo opportunities.
Yeah, the touristy photo opportunities. And I really wanted to talk to that one particularly because I wanted to know how they felt about that. And he didn't like that either. He didn't want to be manhandled. He'd had enough of that. And he understood sort of why it was happening, but he didn't like it. He didn't like being pulled in and out and, in someone else's time frame.
Right.
Just, and just that whole idea of being manhandled. So they're not fans of being cooped up in their little cages.
No. Were the sanctuary where you were there any of the animals that were happy or like?
Yes, they were. And I have to say, this sanctuary is absolutely immaculate. The people are amazing. It is beautifully clean and maintained, and it's a sanctuary for bringing in wild animals that can't live in the wild anymore, or they're getting rehabilitated to go back out. So those places, they have value. So I went in there not with a mindset of being annoyed in advance of animals being held captive. So there were two cassowaries in this sanctuary, and they'd been there for a long time. And I think, and it's a bit rusty, but I think one of them has been there for 30 years. Now, cassowaries, for people that don't know, are the most magnificently colourful birds. They are two-legged like an ostrich or an emu. But they're just stunning. Google it and have a look at one of them. But so one of them had been in another zoo somewhere, I think in Australia, and had been brought in. And one of them had been hand-reared by humans. But the problem was they'd been feeding him the wrong food. And so for that cassowary to go back into the wild, it wouldn't have survived because it doesn't know how to eat what it's actually meant to be eating. But that one was really, really annoyed, didn't want to be there. And that, it wasn't a huge area because, again, these animals love to run. But it was a big area and had a beautiful sort of tropical garden and a pool or a water area they can sort of have around them. And one of them saying, oh, stop complaining. It could be worse. Like, this place is beautiful. And the other one's like, get me out of here. I don't want to be here anymore. It's like, I'd rather die. So there was a bit of contrast there between those two. There was an eagle there with a broken wing, and that eagle was just, not angry, but, well, probably a little bit angry, but distraught, just didn't want to be there, rather die than be there. There were 3 dingoes there. One of them absolutely loved it, loved being part of teaching the children because, they take the kids around from school, I guess, and do educational stuff. So one of them really loved it. The other one didn't really care either way. And one of them didn't want to be there. So they're all kind of individual, I guess, like us. We all have our own ideas of what's a good life and what's not.
Some people love to be around kids and some people don't.
Yeah,
so
that's
some
true.
Dingoes like
that's
to
true.
be around kids, and some dingoes don't. All right.
Yeah, I feel it.
Wow. So, and you're right. The rescues and the sanctuaries that take animals, especially when people think that they can have like a bear in their living room or a tiger, and then and they have a wild animal in their home or their apartment, and then they're taken away, and rightfully so, because no one should have a wild animal as a pet. But those animals, obviously they can't be just released into the wild. So a lot of times if they're taken to a rehabilitation place, or especially if they've been injured and things like that, I'm so grateful that they have those sanctuaries. I know that, like, and also as an intuitive myself, I couldn't bear to go to a zoo when I was young. That really bothered me, even though there were school outings that we would have, field trips. And they'd have field trips going to the Los Angeles Zoo and things like that. And I just couldn't, it was so hard for me to go to that, especially in the primate area, like with like gorillas and monkeys and things like that too, because they were so much like humans as well. I saw that connection. But the thing that really bothered me as a child, I think they've changed a lot of it now. There's a lot less of them, but were these things that these traveling circuses that used to come into town, and the elephants and things like that, the lion tamers, they would have that. People have visions of that. But the thing that really bothered me was and I remember seeing it, and after I saw that at the circus, I said I never wanted to go again. And it was the bears. And they had bears standing up on balls and jumping on things, and they would have a collar around their neck, and like a chain on them, just in case he went crazy, went wild. But that bothered me so much, and because I think at that age too, when I went, I had empathy, and I could feel the bear.
Yes.
It's not just the humiliation of having to perform and the fear of the trainer or the whoever's working, the tamer, whoever's working with them, but what happens behind the scenes to get them to do that, to get them to do those tricks and things like that. That's what I felt. I felt the terror, so to speak.
Yeah.
So anyone who's watching this on YouTube, the podcast is of course on YouTube, and also if you're listening to this as a podcast or as the radio show, I'm going to say it, please don't give your money to circuses and things like that. Please don't do that, especially if they have animals in captivity there. I love Cirque du Soleil because it's humans doing tricks. There's no animals doing tricks. It's human tricks. So Cirque du Soleil, yes. Other places with animals, no. Okay. That's my public service announcement for that.
Yeah. Ditto from my side.
Okay.
Just what you said.
Okay, good. So, so a great deal when you're communicating with the animals, and of course communicating with the people that are the parents of the animals, saying what's happening. Um, you have also this really beautiful gift about medical intuition, and not only knowing what it is that's bothering the animal, but also what to do about it. Um, did that come naturally for you as well, along with just being able to communicate with the animal in the first place, but knowing sort of what the issue is physically or medically?
I guess it's of no surprise, really. There's two things I do: medical intuition and intuitive investigation. And as a kid, I was always interested in finding anything that was missing. I was like the greatest hunter of missing things in the family. So that, and then as I sort of got more, and I played sport from a very young age on a competitive level. So from that, then I became interested in the human body, and I studied various physical therapies and sports nutrition and natural nutrition and sports injury management and things like this, which is all about anatomy and physiology. So I'm not a vet and I'm not a doctor. I don't know the intricacies of an animal's or a human body, but I know enough to know where everything sort of sits in the body and what it does, and to a degree. And so when medical intuition kind of landed on me, that was kind of a no surprise either. And by landing on me, I just mean, I can't even remember the first case that might have been, but it went something like a friend had a problem with her cat or dog, and I just knew where it was because I felt it. I have all of the senses. I'm very visual. I hear, I know, I feel, I taste, I smell. So I have all of the senses, and I usually see and I will feel as well at the same time. So whatever was going on with that animal, I saw where it was and what it was, and I could feel what it felt like on behalf of them. So I thought, oh, well, this is really interesting. Let's just kind of do a little bit more research into medical intuition. And I did some training with Carolyn Mays and Norm Shealy, and which was fantastic. And of course, that was medical intuition for people, but it translates to animals in exactly the same way. And so what I do with that is I usually just, I also have a great interest in Chinese medicine and medical Qigong and the emotional part of the body. So when I do medical intuition, I look not just at the physical organ or the physical part of the body, I'll ask to be shown the emotional side as well and get the connection there. But, you know, just kind of, I have like an etheric X-ray machine that once I get permission from my animal, I take them through that. And then I have a big screen that sort of sits in front of us. We walk into our room together and we sit there in front of our screen and we go, show us the most important thing to see today, because there may be several issues that peel back the onion. You just get one at a time. And an animal can block information as well, because if an animal is due to pass, you know, their own life path and that sort of thing, if they're going to pass and they don't want to be fixed, or, you know, whatever age they are, because it doesn't necessarily mean old age, then they will block information. You won't be able to see it, or they'll send you up the garden path. They'll show you a problem there when it's really somewhere else. So that can throw things a little bit. But, you know, I get shown an area of the body to look at, and then I'll feel whatever that feels like. I have symbols for certain things like high blood pressure in a person or an animal. Well, I will see a heart jump up. Low blood pressure, it will drop down. A heart murmur has a feeling and a sound and a kind of a fluffy kind of noise to it. And, you know, leukemia, I kind of see like this white blood, and cancer is black and it's hard and it's brittle. So I have some symbols for certain things as well. But having said that, like I never diagnose, like that is not my position to do that. But I get information enough that can hopefully help someone to then go back to a vet or a doctor and go, hey, can you follow this path? I like to see medical intuition as a last resort. I'm probably the only medical intuitive that thinks that way, because I'd rather someone go to the professionals that have all the testing equipment, they've got the experience, the diagnostic techniques. You go there first, and if they have gone to 5 vets and they still can't get an answer, then they come to me and go, okay, well, let's go through and look at every single bit and piece and system of the body and see what we can find.
But
and then go
how
back.
great would it be if you went to the veterinarian with your pet who's not doing well, but if that was part of the diagnosis or part of the examination, not only, well, the symptoms and the signs, it could be this or it could be that, let's check this out, but at the same time also, let's bring our medical intuitive, our empathic communicator with animals, let's bring them in and let's have them have a little chat and see if there's something that I'm missing. Right?
Yeah.
And then you don't spend all this time and money and hours trying to figure out what is, wrong with your little baby. I know there's like emergency medicine, of course, like when of
there's
course. A broken bone or something like that. It's an obvious thing. It's like, okay, that's not, or if they've been, bitten or things like that. But I have so many questions for you. Well, I have a dear friend. I have a dear friend who is a medical intuitive, world-renowned medical intuitive. Does, I think, only humans. Maybe she does animals, but pretty much humans. Her name's Kimberly Meredith, and and she's brilliant. I'll gotta hook you guys up. But I also have a friend of mine who is a trainer for dogs mostly, but as she says, it's not just dogs, it's training the humans. Yes. Right? It's more training
first the humans.
Yes, it is. But she says that she's a dog trainer, but she's really a human trainer who humans who have pets, have dogs. But what was my thing? My brain was going everywhere. Are you able to also find out when they have behavioral issues, so if they're a barker or if they're a biter or things like that, you're able to find out, hey Spot, what's going on? Nobody calls their dog named Spot. I don't know anybody that's called their dog named Spot. In the 60s and the 70s, that's all the booklets that we would read. But yeah, Fido, whatever. So you're able to find out, like, hey, what's happening with why are you behaving that way?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's behavioral issues are probably some of the number one, that whatever sits under behavior. But, people often come because the dog's doing this, the barking and the jumping and all that sort of thing, or the anxiety, the fear, the aggression. Aggression and fear are closely aligned. Most things come from fear. Cats not weeing in their kitty litters and all that sort of stuff. And so you can ask them, why are you doing that? Animal communication is really, at its core, is getting the why. It's not necessarily about then having a conversation and going, well, we don't really like that. You need to change that behavior because that's really annoying, mum, dad, whoever. And then the dog will go, well, give me a good enough reason for that. And we'll go, well, this is the reason. And then they get to decide whether they're going to change or not. Just as though you'd tell your child or your partner, I don't like this behavior. And then they go, well, I think it's okay. So
fine with me.
That's your problem. Fine with me. Yeah. So you can negotiate, and then they still get to decide whether they change or not. And sometimes we just get to management. We can do everything we can. We can get the best trainers in the world and animal communicators to find out the whys, and then we just got to manage this issue. So you can ask, you can find out why they're doing something, and then you may also get some ideas on solutions. A lot of behavioural stuff I find with horses is usually pain. It's like an injury. There's lower problems with the lower back, or there's problems in the withers, or the saddle doesn't fit properly, or horses don't like bits. They don't like metal in their mouth. So, you know,
I
things
don't
like
like
that.
metal in my mouth either.
No, well, it's highly
Who
unnecessary.
would like metal in the mouth? Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't fit. That's not a natural product.
Yes. No. Oh my gosh. Are you able to, okay, so I don't want to put you on the spot here. But are you able to just look, like if I pulled up a cat or a dog, are you able to like communicate with it, or do you need like time and like tea and, you know, like you need to
Curl
like,
my hair and
yeah. Do you need to prepare for it?
Oh, look, have you got one? Just throw it up. Let's see what comes up.
Okay, I've got one now. So folks that are listening to the radio broadcast or the podcast, you're not going to get to see this. But if you miss it and you want to see it, you can check it out, Out of the Box with Christine on the YouTube channel. And you get to see a member of the household here. So I'm going to get one of our little babies, and I'm not going to tell you what the issue is, because they all have issues.
Oh, you're really going to throw the test in now.
I'm not going to
Let's
say
see if they want
is.
to talk about it.
Yes, exactly. They may not. Okay, and but let me go grab one, and
Okay.
and I'll hold on one second here. Here we go. Now this is Snooki, and Snooki's not going to be able to hear you because Snooki doesn't have the headphones on. But
that's probably a good thing for Snooki. What a beautiful face. All right. So we need to, listeners, listen to your on hold music while I just take a moment to just connect with Snooki and see what's going on. Snooki's a boy?
Yes.
Oh, I'm hearing this very kind of guttural noise coming out of Snooki, like a ooh. Does Snooki make noises?
He's very vocal.
Yeah. Snooki is saying, I don't know what your problem is. You worry too much. I don't know what your problem is. Cats make noises. I do things like every other cat. I am no different. Has Snooki been spraying?
Yes. Oh, he's like, I want to get down now. Yes, he has.
Is this the problem that we're talking about today?
Yes, it is.
You're
good.
I just got a lovely little vision of that. Does he make noise when he sprays, or is that noise a separate little thing?
No, he just finds a nice little thing, like, you know, a bag, clothes.
Oh, awesome.
A mattress.
Yeah.
A person. Turns around and lifts his tail.
Yeah, because it smells good too.
Oh,
all right, Snooki, why are you doing that? What's your story, buddy? Well, he's very cross when he does that. He's quite cross. And I see the little feet going cross, 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 little stampy stomps. Not getting attention.
Oh.
Feeling a little bit left out.
Yep.
Have you been changing furniture around as well? Or moving things? Or cleaning?
Yes.
So when cats spray, cats don't usually spray inside the house. But when they do, it's really to make a point. And
he's made a lot of points.
Yeah. And it can be when we clean, because we're cleaning off all their markers and they've got to remark. So we're cleaning their markers, you know, particularly if you're moving house or if you're getting a bit nutso on a spring clean and you go crazy with your vacuum cleaner and your duster, they will remark their areas with spraying as opposed to rubbing the side of their mouth and just, you know.
What does it mean though when because our son, our son Millen is really Snooki's dad. I mean, Millen worships the ground the cat walks on, loves this cat more than anything in the whole wide world. Absolutely loves this cat. And the other day the cat was, you know, on his bed and basically just turned around and sprayed him, you know, right in the bed. And that was a shock to him because he loves this cat.
Yeah. Yeah.
But was that him being cross at Millen, like being mad at him, or just messing with him?
No, he's cross. Let me just see. How old is Millen? Is he at school?
No, he's mostly here at home, but he's just starting going to university. He's
Right.
18. He's 18.
I was going to say, because would he have been on his bed studying or writing or something like that?
Not paying attention to the cat, but studying, or yes, of course.
Yeah. Basically, that says not paying attention to the cat.
Yes, right.
So here's the thing with sort of talking to animals. You've got to talk to them in images, and you've got to use words that create the image of the behavior you want. And what we do is we say things like, Snooki, don't do that. And what we're showing is Snooki spraying. So we need to use the words that create the image of Snooki not spraying. So
what is that?
And this is for any behavior, whether it's barking or jumping,
right, exactly,
or whatever it is. So you can relate it to toiletry habits. It's like, go to your kitty litter. I mean, this is marking, so it's slightly different, but it's we basically don't want to say don't, no, right. Stop, shouldn't. And all of those negative words that we come out of the womb with in our heads and our mouths.
It's like talking to kids as well, talking to your children sometimes, right? It's the same thing. I would imagine, although animals are, if they're telepathic and they are seeing in pictures and not hearing in words per se, so you also have to visualize like the cat actually not doing that.
Well, you can see what happens is you're automatically doing that. So if I say to you, remember the first car you ever had, you can't not visualize that. It's in your mind. If I say green apple, a green apple is in your mind, unless you've never seen a green apple. It'll come up in your mind because you can't stop it. So while we're speaking to our animals, we're just going vision, little running video screens, and they're going, oh, mum says it's okay to do this, or mum says it's okay to do that, so I'll keep doing that. And so we need to, for the behaviors that we don't like, write them down: spraying, barking, jumping, XYZ. We write them down. We write down next to that, how are we currently addressing that problem? What do we say? What are the words we use? Stop spraying, Snooki. Don't spray, or don't do that. And that is creating an image of Snooki spraying. And Snooki's going, well, probably two things. A, I don't care. And B,
yes.
Mum said, oh, it's okay. So then we want to create the image of Snooki not spraying. So we write down, and then we just practice these words over and over again and make that our language, our new language. And it might be mark outside. I understand that you're not happy, and I understand that you need our attention right now, and we will give you attention. And so, and giving attention is being present. It's not just going, oh, pat, pat, pat while I'm still doing something.
Right.
Be really present with them, and just spend, cats don't need too long. He might only need 5 minutes.
They're a little crazy that way. Like, it's just like, touch me. Okay, bye.
Yeah. So that's kind of good. The other thing is, do you play with Snooki? Because I feel like Snooki might be a little bit bored.
I don't personally. Millen may a little bit, but yeah, maybe they're bored because they're cats. They sleep so much. So when they're not sleeping, they're eating or they're crying to be fed.
They want it. They're hunters. They hunt, they kill, or they hunt, they chase, they catch, they kill, they eat. And so when we domesticate them, if they're kept inside, they never do that. But you need to replicate it. And there's some great toys at the pet stores. I've only got one toy, and it's all I need is like this foxtail. It's not a foxtail, it's just a pretend one on a stick. And my cat goes absolutely ballistic. I had a cat that used to grab the toy, drag it upstairs at 2 a.m. in the morning, and you'd hear this clunk, 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 clunk up the stairs, and this toy would drop on the bed between you. It's like, okay, I'm ready.
Oh, wow.
Cats need to be played with because they get really bored. Yes, they do sleep a lot, but they also need to exercise.
Okay, so they
Yep.
need exercise and
Yep. Mental stimulation.
things that
they
we think
need to
only
catch.
and things that we think only dogs, need or require.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's okay. That's good. Are
Yeah.
you up for one more? Well, in the household we have 3 cats and a dog and 2 teenagers. So we've got lots of animals here.
Yeah.
But are you up for one more?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Because, then how's the group dynamic on the animals?
Exactly. All right. So stay right there. Hold on. Let me get the number 2. Okay, now this is Xavier.
Oh, Xavier, you are absolutely beautiful. This is Xavier has come from Egypt at one point. Many past lives, this cat, full of wisdom. Looks like a black panther for anyone that can't see Xavier. Oh, how's this relationship with Snooki? A little bit.
Well, I think he deals with him. Xavier's a lot older.
Right.
There's another cat in the household that's a female, Sushi, and she was very sweet. Apparently, my wife says that she was very sweet and loving and would always, come up and even sleep with her. And then when they introduced Snooki into the house, she just she stays outside or she goes to visit grandma. She doesn't stay around a whole lot.
Yeah.
And she's really small, petite. So, but this is Xavier. He's I think he's 16 or 17, something like that. Yeah.
Right. Have you had him as a kitten?
The Tracy and the kids did. They've had him since he was little.
Yeah.
And one thing that she's told me with Xavier is that if you're stressed or upset or anything like that, he'll make it a point to come and be right on you.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is for his purr, because I don't know if anyone got just a little sound of that a minute ago, but Xavier's purr is so healing. And this is what I say, this cat is old and wise and has got healing in his genes. And so when he lies on you, and I see him lying on the chest area, the vibration that comes from his body when he purrs, and what he's showing me here is that he can change the tone and the this is interesting actually, because he's saying the staccato of it. Now, staccato is how do you describe that in musical terms? Short, sharp sort of beats.
Right.
And a purr is not necessarily a short, sharp beat. But he's showing me here that his purr is very deep, like a deep, deep baritone singer, and loud. So it's got a loud feeling. And that is to break up. This is really to break up sadness and trauma and heartache around that heart chakra, and also coming down. If he lies in the right position, it'll also come down over that 3rd chakra, which is also about your relationship with yourself and your self-worth and your confidence and whatnot. So he tries to lie as long as he can to heal as many chakras as he can. And I'm going 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, if he can lie across those ones, and coming up into this throat chakra as well. It's like his mouth is on the throat, but he can change his tone and his vibration to suit each part of the body. And I'm going, because your organs have a frequency, and I'm just going to make this up because I actually don't know. I can't remember what I read, but let's say the liver vibrates at 56 megahertz. And a diseased, your liver's not functioning so good, and it might be, say, 20. He will change his vibration in his purr to help lift the vibration of the liver so it can come back into homeostasis and heal. And the heart. So it's not just the chakras, even though the energy centers of the body govern the physical parts of the body, the emotional, the past lives, all that kind of stuff. Man, this cat is intuitive. And can I have him? Can you send him up? I want your cat. I don't know that my cat would like that idea, but
your cat probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
I'm going to put him down because
yeah, he's a therapy cat.
Hi, darling. He's because he's getting up in the years. He has a little trouble walking. You know, he's it's stiff, a little stiff kind of.
Yeah.
He kind of walks like John Wayne.
Yeah. Well, I liked John Wayne back in his
kind
day.
Of saunters like that. He kind of saunters and very vocal. 5 o'clock in the morning, he wants to be fed. He's very, 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 very vocal, and we'll just kind of go, you know what? We're not ready yet. We're not ready to get up and feed you.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, you were amazing. You were so spot on, and especially with Snooki and the spraying, you just kind of knew that. Did you see him spray in your mind?
Yeah, I did. I saw his 2 back legs and his butt and his little tail up in the air and out the back.
He's colored like he's like a skunk.
Yeah. And that's what that smells like.
When that skunk tail goes up, you better run.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, Rommie, I could talk to you forever and ever. You know what? I hope you can come back sometime soon on Out of the Box with Christine. You're welcome back anytime.
Thank you.
Talk about anything that you want. I'm going to throw out if you don't mind, I'll throw out the website. And also I don't want to forget, you also help people master intuition and work with them on communicating with animals as well. Do you help train them or coach them on that?
Yeah, I do. I currently just have an online self-paced level 1
Beautiful.
Animal communication course. It's for, the very basics, the foundation level. And I do a few lives. I am available. Anyone, what I'd love to do is to get into some of the, the sanctuaries and train the staff or the rescue centers in those types of places. So I have a course coming up, a live course coming up in Brisbane, probably September, and also bumped into that intuitive development, which is a great kind of lead into animal communication. So yes, I do as much as I can. The year's kind of got away from me and I've done nothing so far this year, but I'm about to launch.
Oh yeah, you slacker.
Slacker.
Yeah. Right.
COVID threw me off.
Oh, it threw all of us off, darling. I'll throw out the website, and also make sure folks, the link is going to be in the show notes to this program, but it's RommieBuhler.com, and that's RommieBuhler.com. Don't worry if you forgot the spelling of that or if you missed the spelling of it. The link will be in the show notes. Also, we'll put a link to Rommie's your Instagram page, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
That'd be perfect.
Thank you for having me, Christine. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, love. Thank you so much. That was so much fun. And we had some family members come on the show. Yeah. That's unusual.
Even better.
Exactly. Thank you so much also to our wonderful listeners. Oh my goodness. We're online, on air, and on demand. Thank you so much for our listeners of the podcast, which is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it. And also on YouTube. Thank you so very much for subscribing. Until next time, as I always say, remember to think outside that damn box. Oh, and for more information about the podcast, go to outoftheboxwithchristine.com. All right, everyone. Until next time, thank you. Thanks again, everyone. Thank you, Rommie.
Thanks, Christine.